Hello, everyone. My name is Chucho Fadel Ramirez, and I'm here accompanied by Matthew Ross from Scotland. And you're listening to our very first Ross and Ramirez Chatting It Up podcast. Today, we will be talking about The Dark Knight Rises, which has been in the movie theaters for about 3 weeks now. And we're just going to go ahead and talk about the movie and pretty much, what we think about it. So, without any further ado, I'm gonna go and pass it on to Matt, who's going to give us a brief synopsis and his opinion about the movie. So, Matt?
Yep, it's Christopher Nolan's third entry in the Batman series, and it's his final one. It's a conclusion, and essentially he's going out with a bang. He's trying to make the biggest and best Batman that there is and we've ever seen. And essentially we have Bane this time round, who is the villain instead of the Joker, and we have a host of other new characters like Selina Kyle, played by Anne Hathaway. But it all starts with Batman essentially not being needed anymore because of the Dent Act, and he's essentially being a recluse. He's been in his mansion for the past 8 years, essentially. Even that's hard to believe. And he's been mourning at the death of Rachel Dawson, who essentially was going to be the person who would make him stop being Batman. And later on through the film, we learn that Bane is going to be doing things, or try and spoil it, and he has to try and come back into action, but then he is essentially broken down again physically, as he's been at the game for about 8 years, and then other things happen, but I can't say or I'll spoil it. Yeah. And he has to come back and try and save Gotham from evil. Do we know it's evil? We don't really know. From Bane, and maybe some other characters that come along the way as well.
Yeah.
That's essentially the synopsis of the film. I can't say too much if people haven't seen it, but it's been 3 weeks. So I think everyone has seen the film by now.
Yeah. So essentially, he's just been MIA for like the last couple of 8 years, right? And all of a sudden, we have another threat, to Gotham, and that causes him to come back out, pretty much.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I guess, what I liked about the film is that with a Nolan Batman film, there's always a thread, there's always sort of an intelligence to it. A Christopher Nolan blockbuster in general is unlike any other. I like it for its spectacle. It's spectacle that's, on a really different, refined level. I think if you've seen it in IMAX.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like the greatest thing in the world to look at in IMAX, and that's the kind of thing I like about Nolan, is like he will push forward the best possible way for a film to look. Mm-hmm. So the spectacle's great, and it's all there, and all the gadgets are back, and new ones in the form of Selina Kyle, who is like the film's Joker. She is sexy and intelligent, and everything I said in my review before. It's still the same philosophy that's gone through all of Nolan's films. It's intelligence. It's treating the audience with intelligence as if they're on the same level as Nolan and his brother Jonathan, who's wrote the film.
Yeah.
And the one thing that Nolan I've tended to criticize Nolan about is that he's not the great. Sometimes he doesn't really focus on the character, and it's more the bigger picture, the themes, or the spectacle, or the gimmick to an extent. And he kind of misses out on the emotional core. But this time around, there's actually a sense that we've gone on a journey with the characters. There's a history to everyone, and it gets to its pinnacle with the scene with Alfred, which seems to be the scene that everyone is talking about, where he's essentially saying that I won't bury any more of the Wayne family.
Yeah.
I think all those things that Nolan hasn't perfected yet. He's been sort of building up to this, and he's perfected some of the things I don't necessarily like about Nolan's films. I don't like Inception because it doesn't have any focus on characters for me. It's all about the gimmick and the spectacle and the idea of the dream within the dream. But here it's different, and he just seems to be seems to have perfected everything that he's trying to achieve. But it's not without its flaws. Bane's voice. I'm sorry if it's perfect in IMAX, but it's not perfect everywhere else. For me, it was you had to piece everything together. You hear some parts of it, and then you have to work out what the end of the sentence essentially is, and that's because you can't really see his mouth. So it becomes harder to understand. And it's odd for a final film for it to be adding so many characters and so many different threads and plots. And some of it works. I actually think most of the characters he adds, like the Joseph Gordon-Levitt character, is supposed to be type of psychic and has a cheeky little nod to the fanboys in the comics near the end of the film, which I won't spoil. Yeah. You've also got Selena Kyle, who is the best thing, I think, about the film.
Yeah.
But some of the themes and the lines of the film, I don't think are really thoroughly developed. There's so much in the film, but yet not one thread, I think, is really all that well developed.
Yeah.
But it's ambitious and it's well done. He's trying to create something that's going to be memorable in 10 years' time, where we're going to look back and this is how you do a blockbuster. So I liked it for its spectacle, but I don't think it's the best Batman film. I think it's got little bitty flaws here and there, and it's got moments where I wish it wasn't just so mainstream to an extent and silly.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it nonetheless. I don't think it's got the same level and the focus as The Dark Knight or Batman Begins for me.
Yeah. Well, no, I agree with you on most of the things that you talked about it. I actually had the opportunity to. I don't know if you saw it twice. Have you seen it twice or more than twice?
But
okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I went to go see it recently, and I mean, when I first saw it, of course, I really liked it. But I would have to say that a lot was going through my head because I had seen it, like on the day it came out, when there was a lot happening when the movie came out. So I didn't think I really paid attention to some of the dialogue. I was just too excited. So I had to go see it again, and I don't know. It was like watching. I kind of realized that as you watch Nolan's Batman films, the second time or the third time, the fourth time, they just keep getting better and better. I don't know, sort of like wine. As they get older, they just get better. They don't really age. And, it's cool because, there is so many things going on in each film, especially in this one, where you have so many characters, especially new characters, and then, you got all these little plot points going on here and there. But it all kind of does fit together. It kind of, at least to me, it makes sense. I like that this one, it raised the stakes pretty much, I think, even though they were raised already, I think, pretty bad, in The Dark Knight. But this one, I like that it was the outcome of everything that had already happened, especially in The Dark Knight. It was a complete follow-up to the Dark Knight and Batman Begins. It wasn't a brand new episode. It was just the conclusion to this one story that I think can really be seen broken up into 3 chapters, and the just the level of of what's the word of how crucial things are. Bane's character, I think, just is definitely physically superior, obviously, to the Joker. In those terms, he's more menacing, and also because what he does, the things that he did, he sort of just followed up on the greater more mass terrorist attacks that the Joker would have done, obviously, and so. And but it's different because like if you really look at it, all the villains in all these films had done these things for like really different reasons, and this one I'm not gonna. I feel at least that's what it is to me. Uh, you know, the reasons behind Bane's, like all these motivations behind for him to kill was, was more personal. I would say, but
Yeah.
but I believe that I like the film. I think that I like that the new characters, and the one thing that I think that made me like it the most was the fact that it still had that same thing that made Batman Begins and The Dark Knight so special and so new and intriguing, and that is, like I keep saying it, it's, even though yes it's this Hollywood blockbuster and it has explosions and visual effects, it's still very much closer to real life than any of those blockbusters out there, I think, or that have ever come out. And I think that's what makes Nolan's take of the Batman just better than all the other ones before. It's and like I said, it's because they're closer to what real life would be. The threats, the things that the villains do in these films are very real. Like they could happen in real life, and they have happened.
They kind of have.
They have
happened in real life.
In real life. I think Nolan has actually been inspired by all those atrocities, and that's what makes it so intriguing to me. And the fact, obviously he holds back because when I left the movie theater, I told my brother, like, if I had been Bane, and a little spoiler alert if you don't want to hear this, turn around. But if I had been Bane, I would have killed all those police officers, and not just set them up, like for a trap. That's what a real terrorist would do. That's what I thought it was gonna happen. But of course, you're dealing with Warner Brothers, or just a big company that's also mainly, they care about the story. Thank God they cared about the story, but it's always most likely also about the money. So that they hold back, and so that those things sort of become like, not loopholes, but things that the story was good enough, but I think there's always, when you hold back sometimes, it that the story could have gone more, like, way farther, but then it would have become a rated R film, and it's all about the money. It wouldn't have.
That would have never happened.
No, never. But they've come very close. I think The Dark Knight probably got closer to being a rated R film than this one. But I like that. I like this one because it stands apart from it from its predecessors. I think all three of the movies do that. Like, you can watch each film and they're their own film. They're all of them. I think they're equally as good now. Some people, I heard someone say that it's hard to say it's hard to disagree with someone who would say, I like The Dark Knight better than this one, because The Dark Knight is so great in its own. It's still a very good film. But you could also see someone else's point of view as to why they like this one better than The Dark Knight, because this one's also a very good film. It has all those things that would make someone appreciate it very much. And then the same with Batman Begins. They're all just, I believe they're all like this great pieces of work. And I like this one a lot too, because I don't know. This was like the one that got closest to the Batmans, the feel of the Batmans that I saw when I was a little kid, which was the Tim Burton ones and the ones leading up to that. But obviously they still remain a very close to Nolan's point of view. But I like that it was funny. I love its. Everybody talks about its fast pace, because if you look at it, and it really is almost 3 hours long. But it never feels like that. I mean, I don't know if it felt like that to you, but it didn't feel like that to me.
That's always the good thing, but it's kind of commendable in our day and age, where a film can be nearly 3 hours long, being mostly 90 minutes of Bruce Wayne moping, and talkative and more like a drama than it is an action movie to an extent.
Yeah.
And it still, intrigues and engrosses people and makes them come back to the cinema like you have more than once, and many other people as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's just, I don't know. And it's a very good conclusion. I think. I think
it's a satisfying conclusion.
It's a very satisfying conclusion, and it's like I don't know what his critic what his name was, but he said and I agree with him in the fact that this is one of the very rare trilogies that we will where all of the films are equally as good. I think that all of them are very entertaining. You got some cases where the first two films are good, but the third one was alright, or some cases where like the first one is the only good one and all the other sequels suck. But these ones were all taken seriously by not just by the director and the writers, but by the cast themselves. Like that's why I really love them, is because these actors never like flinch. They're always engulfed in this world, of the Batman, of Gotham City, and that just makes it so much more better. The fact that these people, these actors, are really giving their all. They're not just taking it as, oh, it's just another blockbuster, I'm just gonna make money, and as they should. It's like you're getting paid millions of dollars.
I think that with The Dark Knight Rises, they got the best performances out of it, because I think the film asked for much more this time round than necessarily the previous installments, because it's like, the first one, sets it all up. The second one, you can get away with it to an extent. The third one, you're bringing your A game, you're concluding it, you're raising the stakes, as you said.
I think
so. A lot more is asked. I think so. I think it comes out really well for once as well, especially Anne Hathaway, who everyone's been sort of praising and saying Oscars are due, but I'm not sure if that will happen.
Well, like she's good. Like she's, I don't know, like that. Pretty much it shut everyone up, because I remember just last year. I don't know if you read the lines. Everybody was complaining about the cat suit, and it was like when they heard that Heath Ledger was going to be the Joker, it was like, what? Like no, and they were making all these gay jokes because he was in Brokeback Mountain and all that stuff, and then he came out with the movie.
I grew up with those jokes.
Shut up
with those jokes at school.
Yeah, and it was like he shut everyone up, and then same with her. It was like, oh, I hate that hat suit, and like, really, Anne Hathaway, she doesn't look like it. And then you see the movie, you're like, my God, But it's again, I like those surprises that this movie gives, and just it just shows you that the casting in this film, in these three films, has been one of the best castings I've ever seen. I even told my brother I highly doubt that any of these performances, even though I think they're very, very good, adequate for the story. I don't think that anybody is going to get nominated, but if there was like like a category for best cast, I think this one should probably take it, because they honestly them as an ensemble, like as an entire, all of them together, should get some kind of award, because they made the film so much better than, I think I don't know. I think he just got lucky, and lucky in the fact that I wonder if he purposely chose like the majority of its British cast, because like almost everybody in The Dark Knight is British, but again, British actors are just freaking phenomenal. Well,
they are top notch. We import the best. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Well, we
are brilliant.
And this, pretty much. I mean, and
you still got DiCaprio and you still got Brad Pitt, but we got Gary Oldman. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. I mean, Gary Oldman just, oh my God. Everybody. And Christian Bale too. It was like, I mean, he really is. I mean, he is someone else. And people and he's good because he's not just he just physically has to transform into this person, but into this superhero. But like, people forget that Christian Bale has a British accent, and
Well, he's from Wales. He's Welsh.
So far away from who this Bruce Wayne is. I mean, if you look at his